Hello and welcome. My name is Fake Fairy Tale and welcome to a new series that I want to do here on YouTube. It's been a while since I've posted a video, except for the time-lapse video I posted a while back. But I think it's time to try and do something new and revivify the channel a little bit. So I was toying with this idea of recreating the highest upvoted battle map on the Dungeondraft Reddit, which is this one over here, created by Formertooth, and it's actually 2 years old, so a lot of things have changed in the meanwhile, especially from a Forgotten Adventures point of view. There are many new assets that we can use. So I thought it would be fun to just go through the entire process from zero to the end, and just create this map, which I'll just dive into in a little bit, but in my own way, and do it with the new assets and anything new that I can find. Change a few things that I would have done differently, but outside of that, it's naturally not my idea or not my design, so I would like to give some credit to Formertooth. He hasn't posted much in the past few years. As you can see, the last one dates from 2 years ago as well. It was the Dark Temple. His last maps were really well received by the community, and he has quite a few very highly upvoted posts that he has here. And I understand why, because if we go to the design and we dive into the map, in my opinion, is really well done. I think specifically the overall design of the map is very unique. He makes a lot of use of bent corners, circular shapes. Most of the rooms have some kind of odd angle to it, giving it a very natural look for a sewer map, because in the sewers you don't have much space, so you want to use everything that you can get. And because of all the waterways, a lot of rooms will have weird corners or anything, and it's something that you can see very well in here, especially if you have the hallway over here, which is a T split, and you have like a bent corner over here with 90-degree corners as well. And if we go down here, you see this is like the main area, I guess, where a lot of water comes in. So we have this circular shape here, and you see that translates into the rooms as well. And he keeps that into account in his designs, and it gives a very organic feeling to the map. And besides that, it's excellently themed and colorized into a specific style, but he does break the style a little bit here and there, something I like a lot as well, by using different colors. And I want to try and give this map my own twist. So we're gonna keep the general design. However, I'll expand the map on the right hand side a little bit so that we can include the entire circle over here. And there are a few things that I might change here and there, because I don't want to blatantly copy the exact map, but I want it to be a recreation of it. Basically the map, but how I would re-envision it. And I want to go really into detail here, so I will go through every step of the way. I might fast forward here and there, because, well, if a task becomes very repetitive, it might not be that interesting to watch. So I'll try and skip those, but record the footage nonetheless, so that you can see what happens to the map. And we'll just recreate this, and let's see how we can compare them in the end, see how they differ from one another, how assets have changed over time, because I know for a fact that Forgotten Adventures has a lot of new assets that would suit for the tavern over here, with food and drinks and tables. There's new water style assets as well that we can use. There's a lot of new metal work for piping and whatnot, so I want to try and fill it up, make it look very organic, and we're going to do everything in Dungeondraft. So we don't want to use any other software. It will just be Dungeondraft, and we'll just work around the limits that we have in any way possible, and try to figure out how to make this map as pretty as possible. So, having said that, I would like once again to give a shout out to Formertooth. If you see any of his maps in the future, go to his maps, to his posts, leave a response, tell him that if you like the map that you did, he will probably read that still, and he might get into map making once again after 2 years, which would be great if we could actually accomplish that. But, well, I think that's it for now. Let's dive into Dungeondraft and see what we can do to set up the map layout. Okay, and here we are. On a side note, with regards to the assets, we're going to use mainly Forgotten Adventure assets with a few exceptions, which will be the FA Community More Rocks and Underwater Rocks, which are made by Mulk, if I recall correctly. They should be able, or you should be able to find these in the Discord. I'm not sure if we're going to use these, but they might come in handy at some point. And a bit further down we have Gogoth Shadows and Lights, the Kragus Shadows pack, and Mulk Fading Shadow Paths. And those will be the asset packs that we're going to use for now. I have adjusted the map size a little bit because the original map was 32 by 52. And because we are going to need some additional space on the bottom right side, I decided to make it 37 by 52. So it's just the same height, but it's a bit wider. And the first thing that I want to do in preparation for the map is add a background layer with the original map in there. So in order to do that, we're gonna go to the left and we're going to trace image. And we're going to upload an image in here, which will come from here. There we go. And let's center it and scale it up so it has the appropriate size. And I think it needs to be quite big. It should fill up all the way from the bottom till the top. Almost there. I think this is in line, and then messed it up there, like on 2.5. I think that should work. Oh no, it doesn't. So it's 2.56, and then we want to move it over to the left. See if we can achieve that. And there we go. Move it all the way to the side over here. Oh. Perfect. Let's switch to the objects. And now we can use that as a layout so that we know where to draw our walls. And for the interior, I think I'll use this as an inspiration, but we're not going to position the interior and all the furniture on the exact same spaces. Nevertheless, it's good to have it as a background. So if you ever want to recreate a map and give it your own twist, you can do it by simply tracing an image, uploading it on the background, and then use it as a reference. And you can just draw your map all over it. So the first thing I would like to do is find a wall type that suits well, and we're going to draw out the walls that we have over here. And we might very well use the same one, which is, I believe, this one, the castle wall leaned. Let's take it off edit points. I think this is the one, but there might be some other suitable options in here. So I'm quickly going to go through this. I'll fast forward it a little bit and we'll recap on the decision that we've made. Alright, and we're back. After some scouting around, I decided to go for this wall. I think it looks really sewer-like. We can easily add the lanterns on here as well. And I tried to work with the bigger one over here because I do like the aesthetic it has, especially with those broken tiles at the front. But it's just hard to make that work, especially with all these curved edges. So that might not be the most suitable option here. And again, there's actually a minor glitch with it, which is, I'll quickly recreate it. It's that these indentations here where you can, well, hang up a lantern, the lighting doesn't really work accordingly because you see that it draws a very weird shadow line, and that's not something that I would like to have in a map. So I don't think we're going to use this, even though the aesthetic is really cool. The smaller ones will be much more practical in this specific case. I'm going to draw over all the walls so that they stand. We'll do that in fast forward as well, because that's not that special. And I'll make sure that you can follow the whole process. So be back with you in just a little bit. Alright, and we are back. I already have a few minor varieties in comparison to the original map that I'll quickly go over. Well, first of all, before I start, for those of you who don't know how to make those rounded corners, it's fairly easy. You can just click on one point, then hold your left shift button, click on the second point that you want the wall to be, and you can just drag your mouse. You can release shift if you like, and you can just drag your mouse left to right in order to make the bent curve. And if you just press your left click, you can continue drawing on a wall on the other side. Or if you prefer to only put in that corner, you can just right click, sorry. You can just right click like that, and you have your cornered wall, your bent wall. Okay, now the few alterations that I have, one being the one over here, but to be honest, I already don't really like the shape of this, so I'll probably revisit that in a little bit. Outside of that, I changed the shape of the circle down here to better suit the largest space. So you have 3 flat sections of wall over here, as well on the other sides, and I think in the original it's only 1 actually. So I changed that a little bit. We'll have to keep that into account in this new room that we're going to have to adjust accordingly, but that'll be, I think, not much of an issue. And I left out the inner walls on purpose because, just like the original map, I want to use some kind of different type of wall there to really put an emphasis on the different rooms and that they're not necessarily part of the sewer system itself, maybe built afterwards, or something in that regard. So the walls are all set. I think I'm going to quickly adjust this over here and then add in the other walls that we have over here, find some other wall types and see if we can make something match with the original walls over here. So yet again, I'll be right back, and I think when the walls are finished, I'm going to wrap up this video and we'll continue onwards with this project in the next. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. I actually noticed that at the end of my last recording, my audio cut out, so I'm going to have to do this again. So I might have missed a thing or two, but I'll try to go over the whole process as detailed as possible. Now, I drilled all the walls and I made some adjustments. So let's focus on the one over here first. I made it a little less circular, just with 2 bent corners and a straight piece of wall in the middle. I think that will be easier in the long haul to make something nice out of this. I was actually considering maybe making it an entrance way to the sewers. That you have a ladder here somewhere. I already put in all the indoor walls and of course the other type of wall. I think they match really well with the outer wall of the sewers, but it's still distinctly different. So it's obvious that it's not potentially built in the sewers immediately, but maybe built by the Thieves Guild afterwards. Outside of that, I've decided not to put in these walls just yet. I'll be using pillars and fences in order to recreate this. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to have fixed walls in there for something like a prison, especially because, well, if the thieves are being, chased out of the sewers, why put in so much effort building something that you're not entirely sure you can use for a long time? I also decided to remove the door down here because it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you have this guard post up here that you could access and escape, of course, through a separate doorway. Naturally, usually somebody might be sitting over here. Nevertheless, though, I think it doesn't make sense. You want this room to be as secure as possible, and you're not going to achieve that by adding extra doors. So I left this one out. We'll probably move something like boxes over here or a cage, and we only have one entrance and access way in and out of this prison area. However, creative DM can use these gratings to maybe have them escape through a tunnel beneath. And for the living quarters here, which are obviously the bosses, I left it more or less the same. Nothing real special here. We'll add in a door over here as well, but we'll do that with an object and not necessarily with the overlay doors that you can use over here in the building tool. These are kind of the same. I changed this up. I opened it up a little bit, especially over here on the left hand side. It would make more sense if you have a lot of people coming in and out, that you have a bit of more space to walk into the room. So I decided to shorten the wall by 1 square. I also removed the diagonal wall because even though it looks kind of funny, it doesn't really work well with the walls that we've put over here, especially because they come out a bit further to the center, as you can see here as well. It's quite thick if you compare it to the middle line. You have quite a lot of space on both sides. So I decided to do it like this, make it a cornered wall and put the door on this side. We'll cover this whole area up with a pillar. And then you can come into here. The doors here are practically the same. We'll leave it that way. And I still do need to add in these halls. I'm going to leave out the latrines because, well, we're already in the sewers. Why bother putting in latrines? You might very well just, go outside somewhere over here and do your business there. It's either that or we want to add in some kind of small stream maybe to indicate that these latrines end up in this gutter over here. Outside of that, we made some adjustments over here. I've added a door on this side because it doesn't make sense to me to not be able to go from the sleeping quarters to the storeroom or to the lounge area. It would make much more sense to have this all connected if somebody made it this way. If you have to go outside, especially if you're under siege or if there's some guards out here trying to fight their way in, it would be much easier if you'd be able to get to your weapons that are stationed over there, as opposed to having to go outside and through the doors. So I decided to add a door over there as well as over here to make sure that you can move through the rooms without having to go outside of the sewers. I think outside of that, there's not that much difference. I do want to add something on the right hand side over here because I think it might look a bit dull. So what I was thinking is removing a section of this wall and creating some kind of system where water flows in. I already mentioned that this would be a large collection area of water as well, and maybe that we have like a large pipe coming in here. And we're going to do the same a bit further up. So we'll make, I think, a 2-block or 3-block passageway, maybe with some staircases to create some elevation, and have like 3 or 4 pipes coming in here that just gush out all the sewage from the city. And I think on the left hand side I'm going to leave it more or less the same. However, we do want to revisit these areas to see if we can make that work. Well, I think that's it for now, folks. I would like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like, favorite, or subscribe button. It does really help me get my videos out there. It's also great motivation, and it helps me determine what you guys like, what kind of posts you like. If you have any suggestions, or you want to make a comment or remark with regards to this map, feel free to shoot that at me in the comments. And I'll also include a link to Tooth's Reddit in the description of this video. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next.